Welcome to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, podcast for innovators and problem solvers talking all things small business, entrepreneurship, and workforce development.
Welcome back to The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Today we are interviewing Julie, owner of Yellowstone Valley Women magazine. If you live in Montana, you know this magazine. It's everywhere. Julie has an incredible story. Early in her career, she was a news reporter, turned anchor, turned marketing director to editor.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center provides free one-on-one counseling, business plan assistance, market research, financial projection assistance, and more to small businesses.
Julie, welcome to The Vault. We're beyond excited to have you here with us today. So let's get into it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Have you always been drawn to storytelling?
Yes, I have. I have a funny story. I was probably about 8 years old, and my mom asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I told her I wanted a tape recorder. And so she didn't understand. I'm like, a tape recorder with a radio. And she didn't understand why. But she got me the tape recorder, and lo and behold, like when we would have family gatherings, I would be under the kitchen table recording conversation. And then I would pause, and I'd start the recorder all over again, and I'd give a weather report. And then,
oh my gosh.
And then I'd move on. And then I'd play it for everybody. Like, this is what Aunt Kathy said at dinner.
So you're like, be careful what you say. And you were 8, right?
Yeah,
when this
I was
happened.
8. And I would also write my own stories. Mm-hmm. Like, I would illustrate my own little books and my own stories. And so I think that I've always had the bug.
You've always been creative.
Do you still have any of those recordings or stories that you wrote?
No.
I thought you were going to ask, do you still record under the table at family dinners?
Or do you still color your own books? Nope.
You've moved on to
I've moved on.
A bit larger scale.
Yes.
Yeah, so this, I hope, prompts some other things. So when you have this career you have now, and it's incredible what you've built and done, do you look back, and I think that story you just told us, but maybe there's a few more, when you look back when you were little and think, oh yeah, that makes sense as to why I'm here where I'm at now?
Well, I've always looked at opportunity as, is there an open door? Is there a place for me in this realm? And I've always been super, super open for the next step. An open door could happen tomorrow. And if you're open-minded to it, you just have no idea where it will lead you. And so, I did TV news for about 12 years, and my daughter was about 10 months old at the time. And she was suffering from separation anxiety. And on the day that my babysitter fired me, literally, she's like, I think you just need to be home with your daughter. I'm not quite sure, but I can't be your person anymore. On that day, my boss said, you've been working part-time. We need you to come back full-time. And I have absolutely no idea what sparked this, but I just looked at him and I said, how about no time? And he just, I felt so bad after the fact for the poor guy, because I'm like, I just dropped this bomb on him. But, that opened the door to Yellowstone Valley Women magazine. I was home for just a few months, working at home, doing like some marketing stuff for different clients. And I just got this bug, to email then publisher Jay Hansen. And I was just, okay, how about this story idea? How about this story idea? How about this story idea? And finally, he just called me one day. He goes, stop. Just
stop. Okay.
Just stop. Let's meet. And so we met, and he's like, I need an editor. And he told me a little bit about the job. And he's like, can you do that? Because I can't keep doing this, jack of all trades. I need somebody to help me here. And I said, yes. And I got in the car, and I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I faked it till I made it. And here I am. I started with the magazine in 2005. And then in 2018, my husband and I bought the magazine. So I went from editor and writer to publisher.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So you said something earlier, and I'd love to know more about it, because when I was looking up some stuff to ask you about, you mentioned a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us how you got into that field, that industry, and just tell us a little bit about that?
It was another happy accident, to be honest with you. Yeah, I went to Michigan State University, and I was a studio art major, and I had every intention of just being an artist the rest of my life. And my counselor said, you need a little bit more in the area of electives. Round yourself out. You seem like you're more of a creative, person, obviously. Why don't you take a journalism class? And I'm like, journalism? All right, okay. So I signed up, and my teacher, his name was James Steffens, and he was a former Chicago Tribune writer. And I just was captivated by him and his ability to tell stories. It was like he was my guardian angel at that moment in my life. And when I started writing these stories and I got to know people on a deeper level and to see what storytelling can do, it opens like a door to a person's heart and their soul and, what makes them tick. I got the bug. And so it was about 6 weeks after the start of that class that I changed my major to journalism. So then graduating, you could not get a job in TV news unless you had like a gazillion internships and networked to death. So I had 5 internships during college and had really entrenched myself in the Detroit market. I worked for the CBS affiliate there all through college. And then, that just paved the way for me to get my first job. I got a great resume tape thanks to them. And it was so fun. You guys, this is way before your time, but when you wanted to apply for a job, you called this thing called Media Line, and it was, it was like an answering machine. And so you listened to you dialed Media Line. Here are the current listings for, Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. And so
my gosh. And then you just listen to
all of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so you got the news director's name, the address of the TV station, what they were hiring for. And so Billings, Montana popped up one day, and I had sent out probably 10 tapes. I had got kind of one response. But the news director called me. Actually, you know what he did? He gave me a letter. It came in the mail one day. And I was so crushed because it was such a backhanded compliment. And he's like, your tape didn't make me want to press the eject button. I'm like, great. And we want to hire you. So I was in the Detroit area, as I mentioned. And so I made the 1,600-mile trek across the country, had never, ever, ever, ever been to Montana before, but just jumped in.
And so what was your thought back then of when you're Montana? What did you think of?
I thought of kind of like what it is, like wide open spaces. I thought of, the ranching. I thought of just a slower pace of life. And for the most part, I was right. It is a slower pace of life, real family centered. In Detroit, it was like a dog eat dog world. There were a lot of people that were on the fast track in their careers, and their careers were the most important thing in their lives. And you had to deal with traffic. It was just so fast, such a fast paced life that when I got here, I was like, wow, you don't have to go 100 miles an hour 24/7. There's other things that people want to do, like hike and fish and, get on the water.
You don't have a commute anymore.
No. Oh gosh. No, we have our rush minute, Our
rush minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so did you grow up in Michigan then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Birmingham, Michigan, which is a suburb north of Detroit.
Very cool. And then what happened when you got to Billings?
Well,
so you got the job.
I got the job at KTVQ.
Which, isn't it funny how also HR has come so far in what you can say and can't say, and that comment that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, no. And he laughs about it today too. It's so funny. I just saw him the other day, and totally different guy than he was back then. It just shows what stress can do to a person.
Yeah.
But, so I was a general assignment reporter covering crime in courts for 2 years.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
What was your most interesting case?
Well, it is the case that probably changed the course of my career. I was 3 months pregnant, and you guys are too young to remember this, but there was a guy that had barricaded himself in the Vegas. Well, was it Vegas, or it's not called the same hotel. It's on, I believe it's on.
I feel like there is a Vegas, or there was a Vegas hotel in Billings.
Downtown, not too far from here.
Yeah, I swear I've seen an old
Vegas
sign.
hotel is over by the sugar beet factory.
Well, when you turn off the interstate onto 27th, that's right where the Vegas hotel
Well, this
is.
was closer to downtown.
Okay.
It was kind of just a block over from Granite Tower. And anyway, this guy, he had pet rats.
Oh.
Yeah, he had pet rats, and he had barricaded himself into
What a
this
pet.
hotel room. I know, right? And anyways, he had some mental issues, and animal control was trying to seize his rats because they thought this is not
This is
a
terrible. I
good
shouldn't laugh at it.
thing. And so, and on top of that, he had one arm, but he
Wow.
had lots of weapons, like
Oh my gosh.
yeah, shotguns, rifles, all that kind of stuff. And so when animal control came to seize the rats, he started shooting.
Oh my gosh.
And so I covered the initial part of the case, and I was late for my live shot. Go figure. I mean, I'm kind of proverbially late everywhere, like just everywhere. So I was late to my live shot, and I knew all the police officers on the scene. So I knew if I ran under the police tape to get across the street to my live shot, I wouldn't be in trouble. The only problem was, as we called him, the Rat Man, saw me and started shooting at me.
Oh, that's
oh
terrifying.
my gosh.
And I was 3 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So my husband's like, that's it. You got to change. And I still stayed a reporter, but I think in the back of my mind, I was always like, I am not 10 foot tall and bulletproof. There are things here on this job that can hurt me. But by the grace of God, I'm here.
Yeah.
And he's a terrible shot because he has one arm.
Right, but like that you're running to get the shot
so,
and the
like,
things that
not
you're doing to get the shot. Yeah.
But probably for the best that he
Yeah.
wasn't a great shot.
Yeah. So is that what brought you into your anchor role? Is you were just like, I've got to pull back from, being a reporter?
No, I mean, it was just opportunities
Oh, okay.
that arose. And you guys know Alex Tyson, I'm sure.
Yes.
Did you guys, were you in the news together, the two of you?
Yes.
I
We were the
love
first
that.
female co-anchor morning team in the state of Montana.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, she was cutting something in one of the editing rooms, and I came in and I said, they want me to do this, but I don't want to do this without you. So with your blessing, I'm going to suggest that we do this together. And oh my gosh, it was the best thing that happened to both of us, I think. Because,
That's so
we
cool.
both were able to grow, as people through that.
And together, just to have like the dual, like what a powerhouse
Yeah.
that whole time era would have been then to have both of you. That's so cool.
We had so much fun. I can't even tell you. It was just crazy.
What are some memories from that stick out to you? It's just like, that was just like such a fun era and time in my career.
Well, and it's nothing I can put into words. I don't have any real stories, but once the camera shut off and you went to a commercial break, it was like, gab session, and we were laughing and having so much fun. And we would just always get the giggles.
Mm-hmm.
And, after the morning show was over, our director, Rob Monaco, we'd always go on a pop run and get the biggest Diet Coke we could get just to get through the rest of the day. Because, we had to be at the station between 3:30 and 4 every morning.
And then what time would you leave?
Around noon.
But still, and then
Yeah.
you're like, if you have kids and just any a semblance of a life, that's a lot. And
I'm a
going to
night
bed.
owl too, and so going to bed at 8 or 8:30 was just not. It was not an option for me. So I would be bleary eyed. I even tried that. They told you, if you have eye bags, put on Preparation H, and it will shrink your eye bags. Well, it didn't work, but I tried that. I even tried that. So I only ended up doing that for a year, and then I just said, oh gosh, I just can't. I'm just exhausted. So Alex took over as the main anchor, and she did it for so many years.
I think 12 or 13, if I remember.
It was a long, I don't know how she did it, to be honest with you. But we had a great time, and it was a great opportunity. After I got off the morning show, Vic Miller retired, and so I took over the noon show for, I think it was about 5 years. It was about 5 years, I think. And that was fun.
That's really cool. Just a different, news is so cool, and it just, your guys' schedule and the things you do, it's fascinating with that type of schedule.
Yeah. And I loved it because you just, once your day was done, because the story was told, and then you woke up and had a fresh day, and you had absolutely no idea what you were going to be doing that day, and there's kind of a beauty in that, there's a beauty and excitement in that. So
did you have, as an anchor, did you have to do any research, or was it just was all just presented to you that morning? You were like, this is what you're going to be talking about today.
Yes. Research, lots and lots of phone calls, because for a good chunk of my career, there was no such thing as the internet. And so
I got to get that in my head.
I know. It was crazy. So really, source development was huge, absolutely huge. You just needed sources in all areas so that you could call and say, hey, I heard this rumor that XYZ is happening. What do you know about this? And you had to build that trust, because who's going to tell you if XYZ is happening if they don't trust you?
Yeah.
So that was huge. Integrity and trust was just really, really huge for me to try to build.
And so then transitioning from anchor and some of those roles within the news realm, what were some of those things that came next for you?
Well, I remember I was in church one day, and Haley Vanetta, who is a dear friend of mine, walked across to meet me, and she said, what are you doing these days? And I said, absolutely nothing. I'm bored out of my mind. And she said, would you like to start a marketing firm with me? And I said, I have no idea what that looks like, but I'm interested. And so we started what was called KV&P Creative. And we represented, back then it was called United Blood Service. We represented them a little bit. We represented the chamber. We had a few big clients. And so I did that for about a year, and it just wasn't my jam. I missed the storytelling and meeting new people. And I didn't really think I was terribly creative at coming up with concepts for marketing. So yeah, then I reached out to Jay Hansen with the magazine, and the rest is history, really.
That's so cool. But did your guys' paths cross again later?
Well, what was funny is when I talked to Jay Hansen, and he offered me the editor position, I said, who's doing your layout right now? And he said, I am. And I said, I've got a girl you need to talk to. And it was Haley. And so she and I worked together for a number of years, and then she ended up buying the magazine from him, and she owned it for about 10 years. So when she was ready to, she's in commercial real estate right now, and when she was ready to just try something new, she just said, I want to sell the magazine and I want you to buy it. And I'm like, absolutely not. I did not. I had a great thing. I mean, as an editor, I was working, kind of, I don't want to say part-time, but pretty much part-time, and had all of these, writers under me that I trusted. And I had it down to a machine. And I had no idea what business ownership would look like. Absolutely no idea what business ownership would look like. And so when I looked around and I realized that if I don't buy this, they are going to look for a broker, and Lord only knows who's going to buy it and what's going to happen to this magazine. And when I looked around at the people that I loved working with, I'm like, I think I need to try this because I don't want to break up this family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you guys had worked together, a lot of you within that magazine, for quite a while. If you're all there and you're all working and have those systems put into place that, like you said, a family that you all had been there for a while and really gotten to know each other and had a good groove within the magazine.
Yeah, it was 13. I had been with the magazine 13 years when she decided to sell it, and a lot of those people had been there every step of the way with me. They're people that I brought on board, and yeah, they were like family. And I just said, I don't think I can do this. So I was scared out of my mind, and I called Big Sky, and Dina Johnson was working with you guys at the time. And what a lifesaver she was, because she helped me put together my business plan. Without her, I don't think I would have gotten a loan to buy the magazine. She was everything to me. She found a bank that was willing, because really magazines, it's a blue sky business. You don't have any physical assets. So basically what you have is, your customers. And so telling that to a bank and saying, yeah, this is a good, risk. It's tough. So she was able to help me do that.
So going from being just the editor to then now owning a magazine that over 65,000 people read.
Mm-hmm.
What was that transition like for you?
It was really quite easy. The only thing that I had trouble with was QuickBooks.
Everybody has trouble with QuickBooks.
I think we have a training for that.
Yeah.
So I fixed that problem because my husband is a whiz at QuickBooks. So I just said, honey, will you take this over? And so we tag team, the financial side of things. The rest was just really becoming an ambassador for the magazine and building relationships and making sure that our advertisers, who are everything to the magazine. I mean, we are 100% advertiser supported. Without them, we don't survive. So 6 months, I think I really, really struggled because you'd wake up every day and you'd figure out in a quick hurry what you did not know. And that's a tough lesson at times. Like, oh man, okay, well, this happened and I didn't anticipate that. And so how do I fix this? So that was a little rough, but I think every new business owner struggles from those growing pains and then getting comfortable in that role. And now it's just second nature. So it's really quite wonderful.
So do you still do a lot of the editing then within the magazine? And so then you have that editing and then ownership.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
So I still do everything I did before. I was able to bring on Ed Kemick. I don't know if you know Ed from the paper. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing writer, and he's a great copy editor. So I will admit, this is the first time I admitted this publicly.
Ooh, okay.
Secret time.
I'm not great at grammar. Yeah, not the smoking hot scoop you expected, but so he helps me in that realm. And then I think he's made me a better writer too, because he said, well, what if you did this instead of this? Mm-hmm. And so now I think more like he does, and I'm a tighter writer. I know this probably isn't interesting to your...
No, I think it is.
Yeah,
it definitely is.
Yeah.
So anyways, he's helped me a lot.
Because owning a magazine is unique, I think. Like, there's not not everyone can say like, oh, I know someone that owns a magazine. And it's such a unique industry. So I think it is interesting to hear all of those things and how you guys are funded. And it's just very unique to, I think, the nation, but also just Montana in general.
Yeah. For those that aren't familiar with your magazine, could you share with us what all is included in it and what's it about?
Well, it is Yellowstone Valley Women, and it's about women. It's for women. And surprisingly, about 30% of our readership are dudes. And I don't know if they're interested in the content or they just want to keep tabs on us, make sure we're not like ready for an uprising or something.
Ruling the world or something.
There's secret hidden messages in there.
I mean, Beyonce's right. Who rules the world, right?
Girls.
Amen. So every issue we try to have a theme, and it's so funny. People are like, how do you come up with your themes? And I don't. I literally don't. I will get, like today I got a story idea that's kind of on the agricultural side of things. And I had two other stories that had an agricultural flair. And so I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect for the September issue. Mm-hmm. And so it just organically happens. And I'm so, so, so blessed. I don't know how it's like the universe just, goes along.
Marcel and I in content creation, we do that a lot where it's like, you don't want to force something. Right. A lot of times you will just live something and then like this would make great content, or like this thing happened to me and I want to share about it. So sometimes it's better to just let the stories, the ideas organically come to you, because then if you're forcing it and it's inauthentic, then people can kind of tell that you're forcing it. And
we did an editorial calendar before I was, an owner. We had an editorial calendar every single year. And I'm just like, I don't like this. Mm-hmm. I just don't like cookie cuttering things and trying to push and fit them into something where it just doesn't belong. And so that was one of the first things I did, is I got rid of the editorial calendar. And my sales team hates it because they like to have themes so that they have a jumping off point for advertising. But I'm like, sorry guys, it's not going back. Like I will tell you like the issue before, like what we're focusing on, but I just find
I think that keeps it relevant.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And so I can take those phone calls and someone says, I've got this great idea for you, I can genuinely listen and say, yes, absolutely. We are doing that story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My mom always has this saying that we plan and God laughs.
Amen.
You can plan, have all your ducks in a row, and then something will happen and you suddenly have to change all of a sudden. And not saying like, don't just fly by the seat of your pants all the time, but definitely having that, like, it'll come to us. We just have that faith that it'll work out and we will have good content to share out.
I have that going on right now. Yeah, I got a story idea yesterday, and I had already planned our cover story. And the cover story that we're going to be doing, I think it's going to get bumped to September, but absolutely, probably one of the most incredible stories I'll tell. But then the story idea came in yesterday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And there's no way I can just like put her in the middle. She needs to be on the cover. So I'm wrestling with that right now.
Which is hard, but I think it's kind of like I was listening to this other podcast, and this one person that was getting interviewed, because she does a lot of content creation for cooking. And she's like, I can't be one of those people that's doing like Christmas stuff, like Christmas shoots in July. Yeah. I have to be in the moment, in the season, inspired by the season and the things going on, which I think it sounds kind of like what you guys have too, where you just never know what might come up when it's closer to the time of a new issue.
Yeah. And it's a good thing that my team and I are so tight, because I do this to them all the time. They're like, wait, what? We're doing what? I'm like, yep. Like, we just had a cover shoot. Oh gosh, it was so funny. I don't know if she got what we were doing or if she just thought we were absolutely crazy. But she is a part of a group. She's building community. And so we wanted that to be our theme, building community. Yeah. And so do you guys remember, you're probably too young, but do you remember those? They looked like bricks. They were cardboard. You'd put them together, and then like boys loved them.
Build a house.
Yeah, you'd build a house, and then you'd crash through it, and then you'd rebuild it. And okay, so
yeah, my sister just got some for my nephew like a few years ago, so they're still around.
So, anyways, we bought a whole bunch of those from Amazon. That's the only place we could find them, and we built this wall with a hole out of it. And our cover lady leaned through it with a brick, like to show like she's building. Like, she's building.
That's cool.
And when she got to the shoot, she's just kind of like, she cocked her head and she just kind of looked, and she was such a good sport. But I'm just like, she thinks we're nuts. Yeah. And then she saw the proof of it, and she's like, oh, I get it. That's so cool. So anyways, we're always up to weirdness.
Yeah. How often do you publish?
Every other month.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We're bi-monthly. So January, March, the odd months, all the odd months. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Nice. You get it?
Yep.
I saw the wheels turning there.
Then the light bulb came on.
And it's so fun to get to, it sounds like, create those cover things that are maybe a little more unique and eye-catching, and not just like standing posing, but really like incorporating other things that help people really envision that full story and theme more holistically, which is cool.
Well, it was funny. Like, before I was the owner, we had this thing, 2/3 of the body. Like, so from your like elbow to the tip of your head, and then leaving a little space for our nameplate up at the top. That was our formula. No matter what, that was what we did. And there was this one, oh gosh, now I can't remember, Christina Aragon. Do you remember the runner, Christina Aragon?
Yes.
So we had this photo. It was so cool. She was at Dallas Stadium. She was on the track, and it was a full body shot, and the clouds were just peaking just enough so the sun had its rays coming down on her.
Wow.
And you would not believe how bad I had to argue to get a full body shot on the cover. And so now I threw that out. I'm like, it's the photo that sells the cover, not if we see 2/3 of a woman's body.
Yeah. Yeah. And what else is in that picture? Like if it is the sun and
I just got chills as you were describing
that so
photo.
Cool. It was so cool. I wish I could remember the year because I'd pull it up for you. I'm like, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So fun.
Now Dan Sullivan, who is kind of our chief photographer, he really takes great pride into coming up with something that matches the vibe of the story.
Yes.
And he does an amazing job of that.
Yeah, he does. I feel like I've worked with him on something too. And it was like
did.
a Sanctuary or something. And I don't know. Or he was there when I was there for something else, I think. capturing something with like Chris and Mariah. And he was there. I was there for a different reason, but it was just fun to watch that whole process come together, which was really fun.
And he just celebrated 10 years with the magazine. And this just goes to show what a flake I am, because because I wasn't the owner, I don't have like the old personnel files. So I don't know when people started. I mean, I've got an idea. So he calls me one day and he's like, "Can I come talk to you?" And I'm like, "You are not quitting. I just want you to know you are not quitting." Sure, I'm home.
I'll only talk to you if you're not quitting.
Exactly. And so he's like, "Why do you always think that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Nobody just calls out of the blue saying, 'Can I come to your house and talk to you?'" So he gets there and he's got this beautiful azalea bush in his hands. Aww. It's like so beautiful. And he's like, "This is for you." And I'm like, "What is this for?" And he's like, "I've worked for the magazine for 10 years. He worked for the magazine for 10 years and he bought me a plant. I know.
So you had to get him a bigger bush, huh?
Yeah. I'm still working on a way to repay him. But
that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and a great testament too, I think, to the employees that work for you and alongside you within that organization where longevity isn't as much of a thing anymore, I would say. So to have people with you for 10 years, 13, 15 is so exciting.
It is.
What's one thing that you do that you think sets your culture apart?
This is a tough one because I don't want to make it seem like what we do detracts from our competition. There is another magazine in town that I would say is a direct competitor, and I don't want to make it seem like anything that we do is, oh my gosh, so much better, because we all have our niches in this market. But one thing that has been really, really important to me, and it's because of my journalistic background, is I want to make sure that every single story that's told is authentic and has integrity. There are a lot of magazines across the country where you can buy editorial.
Oh.
And so if someone wants to be on the cover, and you guys would not believe how many times I get this question in a given year, like someone will call and be like, "I want to be on the cover. How much would that cost?" And I'm like, "Do you have a good story? Because that's all it costs."
Yeah.
But they are astounded that they can't pay a certain amount of money and then have their picture on the cover. So all of our editorial,
oh, that's so special,
is authentic. Nobody pays. Nobody pays to be in the magazine. So, and I think that's what sets us apart, is because people know when they open the magazine, all those stories are genuine. And they're real, inspiring stories. We always try to have kind of like a good edge, because there's so much negative news in this world. We don't need another, format of that. So I always pride myself on, does this inspire? Will this lift somebody up? Mm-hmm. Will this maybe engage the community to take up this cause? We've done a number of causes over the years where we've really tried to just raise awareness. I mean, we've done teen homelessness. We've done human trafficking. We did what I consider one of the most, there were two issues that I think we killed it. We did one on the drug issue in Billings. Mm-hmm. And then we did another one on the MMIW issue.
Yeah.
Around the time of Selena Not Afraid's disappearance.
If I'm remembering correctly, it was a stunning cover.
It was the most stunning cover in the history of the magazine.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Hands down. And I think I remember, I think it was Shania Russell. I think that's her name. I called her. She used to work for, if she doesn't still, Lithia Dodge or Lithia Toyota. And someone said, "Oh, B Yellowtail. Do you guys know B Yellowtail?"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so B Yellowtail used this local lady as one of her models, and it ended up in Vogue. I'm like, what? And so I looked at the photos. I'm like, she's amazing. And so she really didn't have a tie to the editorial. She knew some of the people that we were talking to, but she wasn't like in any of the stories. And I just said, "Would you do this?" And she, oh my gosh, she was so amazing. So yeah, I'm glad you remember that, because that was one of the things that I think I actually cried when I was taking those photos with Dan.
It's very stunning.
Yeah.
It's very stunning. It really captured, I think, exactly the message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
And I do love that part of what you guys do with your magazine is really showcasing the cool things and the women that are doing really good things in our community. I do think it's so easy to get bogged down in the negative news or shootings and other like things that are happening, but really also being a platform to highlight what good is going on in the community. How can you get involved with these organizations that maybe need a little extra assistance or a board member or things like that? Like, how can you get involved with your community in a positive way? And I think you guys really showcase and give platform to that within Billings, which is cool.
And we also like to work with nonprofits. So, maybe a nonprofit has a fundraiser coming up. They can call us. And we've had a couple of calls saying, would you be a sponsor and just trade advertising space? And we do that all the time because we want to be someone that champions the good too, not just reports about it, but champions it.
Yeah. So you talk about being very authentic and genuine. And we recently had one of our coworkers, Allison Corbin, featured in one of the more recent magazines. And something that really stood out to me is that she brought up the little bit of struggle. And I'm sure she just briefly mentioned being a mom and also having a really successful career. And I thought that was so important because a lot of times it's like, here are these powerhouse women just like killing it in their careers. But then she also was like, there is a little bit of that sacrifice. And it's sometimes I have to, make those decisions of like, where is my time going to be spent? So I thought it was really important that it wasn't just about like, here are all these like kick-ass things that Allison's doing, but it was also like, she is a mom and a wife too. And I think it's important that you show both of those sides because then it's relatable to a lot of women who are, have a full-time career and are moms or have other responsibilities outside of their jobs. So it's like, you can, do these really amazing things, but you know what, you have your skeletons in the closet too sometimes, or sometimes you can be very vulnerable and share that like it's not easy and it can be really difficult. So I appreciate that you guys showcase like these really amazing positive stories, but there is also real life to them.
And that's another thing we really, really pride ourselves on. There have been a number of times where I've gotten kind of rough drafts of stories and I asked the writer, did you ask this question? Because this person touched on this in an answer to another question. And clearly, they wanted you to follow up on this. Clearly this is something that they want to just make part of their story. And they're like, no, I didn't. I thought, that might be just too uncomfortable. And I'm like, nope. Pick up the phone, write an email, do whatever you can, but that needs to be addressed. I want people, I think vulnerability is huge.
Yes.
When you're telling your story, you need to tell the whole story. And so just a case in point, I had a cover girl, gosh, it's been, maybe close to 10 years now. And she was a champion in the city. She had been on city council for a number of years and been a lobbyist, doing really, really great things in the foster care community. And so I'm like, why do you have your heartstrings wrapped around this cause? And, we were talking and all of a sudden she told me, I was sexually abused as a kid, not once, but twice. And she talked about how one of her mentors growing up had taken advantage of her. And I think it was, if my memory serves me correctly, it was a family member was the other one that perpetrated an assault on her a few times. So we're having coffee and I'm just like, I'm crying. She's crying. I mean, it's just crazy.
I'm kind of wanting to go.
And she just looks at me and she says, when is this coming out? When will it hit stands? And I told her, the first of the month. And I'm like, she had this look on her face that just looked like something was bugging her, So I said, what's wrong? Do you have any regrets about anything we talked about? And she just said, no, my brother doesn't know the story.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And I just, at that moment, and I'd always kind of known it, but at that moment, I realized what a tremendous responsibility we have when we're telling other people's stories. And I was so honored, so honored. I was so sad that obviously that she had that in her past. But I told her then and there, some people can be victims in whatever form, and they can live by that. They can hold on to that, and that can be a part of their title and their identity. But she took that and she made it a catalyst for change, where she was a watchdog, pit bull, if you will, for kids. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this makes the story all the better.
Well, because you asked that question of why are you doing this? Because usually people in certain areas, industries are doing certain things like that for some reason. They just might not talk about it unless they're asked.
Those kind of stories where you can show, my life is not pretty. It's not perfect. It doesn't fit in a box with a bow, but look what I've made it. I didn't live there. I didn't stay there. I grew from that experience. And because of that, I'm better. And hopefully my community is better too.
Yeah. Wow. That was so beautiful.
I have chills.
I know.
Yeah. But how cool, and telling those stories of like, this was what I was kind of handed, and this is what I did with it.
When you share that space with someone and you listen to their story, it's like you have this connection that will never go away, ever. I mean, I'll see people 10 years down the road and they still remember me and I still remember them. And it's just like you so grab their hand and you're like, how are you? Yeah. How are you doing?
Well, and it's so much more impactful for the person to know that what they could be. And like that person also has been there. And so you have a little more, like, it's an inspiration to you, but also it's like an example I think a lot of is like weight loss coaches who have never been fat. And they, they're like, just work out, just do these things. And it's like, no, like it's not that easy, to just do these things. And so I think that also helps when you're that kind of leader, when you're like, I know you can get out of this because, I am living proof. And it's like, I have been where you are right now. So,
yeah. And so that's very powerful.
So now owning the magazine for a while and having worked in it, what are I'm going to switch us up a little bit. What are some experiences that you have learned the most from now within owning, being an editor, that really just stand out too positive or just maybe not?
And this sounds so simple, but you have to check yourself every day and put gratitude at the center of it all. So if there's an advertiser that's been with you for years and years and years, don't just let another day go by, reach out and say, I don't think you understand what you're doing. I mean, I know you're getting marketing out of it, but you're helping this message live. And so I've gotten into the habit of calling or emailing or stopping when I see a certain advertiser out in the community to just say, thank you. And it's just crazy how when they see it in your eyes, just like, she's 100%, like this isn't lip service.
It's authentic.
It's like, there's a softening that goes on. They're like, oh, wow. You're welcome. It's almost like they're like speechless because I think it's a lost art. Gratitude is becoming, sadly, a lost art. And so I try to keep that center. I know that sounds like, what is the biggest lesson? Like, I say that. Gratitude, but it's like, it's so true. I have to keep it in front of me at all times.
Especially having a team you're overseeing, you're telling people stories, advertisers that you're working with, vendors to, print the magazine.
Yeah. And the other like nitty gritty things is time management.
Yeah.
And learning to say no. That is such a hard lesson for me because I think deep down I'm a people pleaser. And saying no is so hard, but boundaries keep you sane. And so that's kind of, I'm still working on that because like right now I'm so overcommitted I can't even see straight. Anyways, like I said, it's a process. If like Overcommitted Anonymous, if you know anybody that has like a 12
let me know.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I think it's like you don't realize it until you're in it. And then you're like, oh, I'm overcommitted. I mean, that's how I feel sometimes where I'm like, I said yes because I believe in these things. But then I'm like, oh, this is why sometimes no is okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of those time management things that you've done? Just knowing you guys have deadlines and stories and coordinating all of that, it's a lot to coordinate. What are some time management tips that you have for those listening to our podcast?
Really easy. I just have a Google Calendar, and so I block off time for different things, and so that's non-negotiable. So if there's a block in my calendar that's in color, because I color code everything, I just can't. So, and it's hard because my daughter, she goes to Carroll College and she plays softball. And so there are times when we leave on a Friday morning to go see her someplace. And I'm like, I just lost a day of work. So I will make Friday my email and phone call day, and I can do that in the car.
Exactly.
So it's just easy stuff. Like, blocking out things, making it a priority.
Before you came in to record this podcast, we were talking about setting boundaries and how sometimes I'm definitely someone who struggles with saying no, or like, putting myself first, setting a boundary. And a lot of times I'll like finally work up the strength and then people just like bulldoze over it. Yeah. So what advice would you have for that? Like making sure that your boundary isn't crossed and you like stand firm in that?
Well, if you knew me, you didn't even have to ask that question. No, I'm a headstrong kind of girl. If I set my mind to something, I just generally keep it. And if someone is pushy on that regard, I really think that they don't have the integrity, and I don't want to work with them anyway. Yeah. If they don't understand that I'm in over my head and I can't say yes to this, then I don't need them in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe work on that, Kay.
All right, I'll be right back.
Unless it's Marcel, then you can't. And then you guys have to work together. Maybe you guys go to a retreat and hug it out or something.
Exactly. Have a crucial conversation.
Well, looking into the summer and as we get closer to 2024, what's in the queue? What should we be looking for?
You never know. I don't know. And I'll tell you, this is a perfect example of why I don't know. There were some things in 2022 and 2023 that I had absolutely no idea that were coming down the pike until I just decided to do them. And that was, I don't know if you guys have been following our Great Love Project.
A little bit, but maybe do you want to share a little bit for those listening? Because we have actually, just so you know, we have listeners from all over the world.
Okay.
Which is cool.
Yes.
Yes. The only continent we're not on currently is Africa. So someone
in that
area
maybe you need a visit.
Yes.
Visit.
Yes. Work visit for sure.
So the Great Love Project came to me in the summer of, I believe it was 2022. And it all fell into place. And I really believe that those things are just the universe telling you, this is how you need to make your mark on the community. And so the idea was that we would put it out on our social media channels. What are your favorite nonprofits? And so we did that. And of that, we got 62 responses. So 62 individual charities in our community, people said, this is one you need to pay attention to. So of that, based on the number of recommendations we got, we kind of like brought it down to 5. And then our readers, followers, voted on those 5. And from that,
I think I voted on that.
I feel like I did too, but if it was on Instagram or something,
yes, it was.
I probably did that. Yeah, I love those easy things where you can just poke and hit yes or no or whatever. That's very fun.
Yeah, and so of that, Love and Sunshine Ministries won, and they just purchased pretty recently a home which they're renovating right now for pregnant homeless teens.
Yeah. That's the one I voted for.
You rock. Well, and then I was like, what do we do with this? So I talked to Dave Deal, who owns the bottle shop, also Banano, and he creates those stainless steel travel mugs, wine glasses, all that stuff. And so he's like, I can custom create a mug for you, and I'll give it to you at a reduced cost. So then we got sponsors to pay for the mugs, and we said, if we sell 400 mugs at $25 a pop, we will be able to write Love and Sunshine Ministries a $10,000 check at the end of the year. And the whole theme was the Great Love Project, because the quote on the side of the mug is, do small things with great love. So what we're telling our followers is, like, with a $25 donation, you can help put a roof over the head of a pregnant homeless teen. So that $10,000 is going to be split into 2 different projects. One is like renovating their kitchen, because they really felt, and oh my gosh, I just love this idea. They thought that community meals are something these girls have never, ever, ever had, like a sit-down family meal. Mm-hmm. And so they, if we renovate our kitchen, this will help us get there. We'll have family meals. The girls can take turns, like making dinner. And then the other one was a security system to keep them safe. Mm-hmm. So the good news is today we are just, months into this, and we've sold 500.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Where can people go to purchase?
So you just go to Yellowstone Valley Women, it's singular.com, and then it's /love. And there's also a thing on our homepage you can click on to get there. And the beauty of it, too, is inside the mug, there's a discount, like a card, if you will. And so there's 10 different coupon offers on there, which exceed in value of $150. So basically, you buy a $25 mug, you're helping out a charity, and you get $140 in discounts just for doing good. So I'm like, that idea, like I said, that idea came to me in a matter of weeks. It all fell together. And every single pitch I made to a business, like, will you sponsor this? I would be like 3 minutes into the pitch and they're like, yes.
I mean, I'm thinking that too. I mean, I just think that's like
go
so
order my
touching.
mug.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Which is so touching. I think I do remember now seeing the mugs, but I think just hearing your story and how you tell it, like how much that's going to impact those girls and the rest of their lives, which is huge.
Well, this statistic really got me. There's just shy of 5,000 pregnant teens in the state of Montana that are on the verge of homelessness every single year.
Wow.
Some of them are couch surfing. Some of them are trying to make ends meet, living with family. But of all the shelters in the state, there are only 19 shelter beds that can accommodate them. So we don't have the resources to take care of this population. And what are we telling our young mothers? That, I mean, it would be better off if you didn't have the child? Yeah. Is that what we're telling them? Because this whole ministry is about just wrapping your arms around these girls who desperately need it and giving them a place to feel safe, which is
safety
beautiful.
is huge.
And you know what? This particular nonprofit won, I don't want to say by a landslide because it wasn't quite a landslide, but it was close to a landslide. And I'm like, what fits with our mission better than this? Like literally women empowering women. What fits better than this? And there just wasn't anything that fit better than that.
That's so touching. I'm just like,
where's the Kleenex paper?
Multiple times. But yeah, I just think that's so great. It kind of makes me think of 100 Strong too, that was started by Julie Seedhouse, and just really women coming together to donate and support causes within our community that are in need.
And that really was kind of a seed in my mind. I was on the visionary team before 100 Strong even started. So there were 6 of us that were kind of trying to lift that off. And Julie was the powerhouse that was behind making that happen. But I'm like, I saw the value of small donations, and that when you combine one small donation with another small donation with another small donation, what you can accomplish. And so that was kind of what gave me the idea. Was just seeing that in action. And so when you say what happens next year, people are like, what are you going to do next year? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to force anything. So if something comes together, it'll be.
And just what you said just really hit me. Like, I think a lot of organizations in town or things like, there's always causes of like, please donate. And I think it's daunting as like a young professional where I'm like, I can't donate thousands of dollars to this, right? Like I could maybe donate a couple hundred, but that's only like to one cause. But if knowing like my $25, a little tiny amount, but with Kayla and Carly and whoever else, that can be a ton of money for a cause and make a big impact with a little amount of money.
Yeah. And just, I mean, when I said it, that we've sold 500, that's $100 over our goal. And I was waking up in the middle of the night saying, what did I sign up for? Can we do this? And I told Dave, the bottle shop guy, I said, Dave, can I sell 400 mugs? He's like, I don't know. It's going to be, you're going to have to market it a lot. I don't know if you're going to do it. And today I just placed an order for another 50. And he's just like, oh my gosh. So if we sell that, we'll be at 550. And I went back to Love and Sunshine too, because I'm like, anything we go over, let's set another dream. Let's tell people, okay, we funded this and this. Let's keep going to see if we can fund this. Maybe it's living room furniture. Maybe it's, I don't know what else they need. But it's like, when you give people something specific, like your dollar will go to fund X, don't you think it matters more?
Yes. Absolutely.
People like to know where their money's going,
Yeah.
like that they're actually going to make an impact.
Well, then they can share with their friends too, like, hey, just go donate $25. You get this mug, and then this is your
what
impact.
you're doing.
Everyone likes another cup. Let's get real here. Look
Except
how
for
many
my
cups we have
husband.
on this table.
He does the dishes in our house. He's like, we don't need another cup. I'm like, I'm getting 10 of these.
You just wait.
Yeah. That's something I always tout about Billings is that it's such a giving community, and people rally behind things like that all the time. And it's a big city, a big city in quotations.
City.
Yeah.
A big city for Montana.
It's Montana City.
Montana's city. Yeah. But we don't have those big city people. I feel bad saying that, but in a way, like, we all still cling to that small town. Like, we come together and we make these huge things happen. And so I think it's awesome that you have this platform too, to like be that additional, like, hey, everyone, look at this amazing thing. And then more people know about it too, which is super helpful because you can't always reach everyone, but people have that giving mentality.
So true. So true. And, the fact that people pay attention, I mean, like you said, you've got a powerful platform. So just an offshoot of that, last year we also did, for the very, very, very first time, a Reader's Choice cover. And we put out, like a little form and said, if you know an amazing woman, nominate her. And so we got about, I think it was between 50 and 60 nominations.
Wow.
And some of them were multiples, Oh, yeah. But we actually, our November, December cover this year also will be a you nominate. So pretty soon we're going to launch that form field so you can nominate women. And I know you guys know somebody, right? So anyways, I hope people visit the magazine's website and think about a woman who really needs some kudos, because there's so many unsung heroes out there. There's so many stories. I mean, when you think about the fact that we tell 6 cover stories a year in relation to the number of amazing women out in our community, that's just a small, small slice.
Yeah. That's something I think about a lot. And, the cover story is one thing, but then you feature throughout the magazine different stories. And it's always so heartwarming to me. And I get a little bit of that like starstruck where I'm like, they live here too, and they're doing these incredible things. And, like when Allison was featured, I was like, oh my gosh, like she's in this magazine. And so it's fun to see that you're telling these women's stories that otherwise might not be getting that recognition. And they're always, like we talked about, great stories, and you just feel better after you read it.
Well, good. We're doing our job.
Yes. I hope we'll write a review somewhere for you.
Google
5-star. 5-star.
Yep. Well, Julie, it's been so much fun having you on, hearing your story and all of the impacts you're making in our community. We like to end each episode with 3 rapid fire questions.
Oh, no.
So, no, they're fun. I'll start.
Okay, they're super hard.
I'll start with a fun one because I like this one too. What's your favorite shoe in your closet?
Oh, my gosh. My slippers.
I love that. I love that.
I'm not big on designer shoes, but I'd say my slippers.
Fun.
If my dog doesn't steal it and take it under the bed and chew it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's always
I have a
frustrating.
6-pound Maltese Terrier.
wow.
And I don't say terrier, I say terror.
A terror.
Yeah. It's not a Maltese Terrier.
What's the best business tip you ever received?
That is tough because I just know things that I've morphed into, and I just never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, surround myself with people who can make whatever we're doing better.
I love that.
I do too.
I
think that's just good advice in general.
Yeah. You can always learn something from someone else.
Like, I've never said, this is my team, this is the team.
Mm-hmm.
We are the team. And when someone's like Dan the other day, said, well, this is my boss. I'm like, I am not your boss. I'm not your boss. We're in this together.
Yeah. I love that. Our last one is, what gets you going in the morning / how do you start your day?
I always start my day with a healthy cup of coffee. And I don't even know who introduced me to this concept, but this actually is a great piece of advice because I share this all the time. So there was this bullet journal, and I can't remember. I'll just tell you the concept behind it because you don't need to pay $50 to get this journal. So the concept is meditate, think about what's important in your day, Maybe, maybe not meditate, maybe pray, whatever your jam is. Center yourself and then think of the 3 things that you're going to accomplish in that day. Those are the 3 things you write down. Anything, and then you draw a line, and anything below the line is gravy. So you might have other things that would be nice if you accomplished. But in those 3 things, one of the 3 things needs to be something that you're going to immensely enjoy. I don't know, maybe you like to go to Hobby Lobby. And you're like,
I do like a Hobby Lobby trip.
And maybe you're like, okay, I get to do this, and then I get to go to Hobby Lobby. Yeah. Or then I get to walk around Norm's Island, or then I get to, whatever your get to is. It's your carrot, that's dangling in front of you in order to make your day seem fulfilled and fun at the same time. And I like the 3 thing because so many of us write a list of 20 things oh my gosh, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. But let's put it in perspective. What of that list of 20 things do you really need to get done? So I may have 20 things, but I do it by week.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 things each day that needs to get done with the hope of by the end of the week, I'll have 20 things done.
That's awesome.
I really like that. And intention setting, which is kind of like that. I need to get these to, that's a gravy part on the end is cool.
And I love gravy.
What's your favorite gravy?
Oh, that's tough.
Because really, it's just, mashed potatoes are just a vehicle for the gravy, right?
Yes,
yep, exactly.
I think I would I like a chicken or turkey gravy, but it has to have a white wine in it.
Oh, you're a fancy gravy girl.
Yeah.
Kayla's a fancy food girl.
I'm a food snob.
Awesome.
But I love it.
Own it.
So yeah, I would say that would be my favorite mashed potato gravy. Yes.
A little turkey with a little wine reduction in it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
The tips you get from this podcast.
Well, she'll be putting her recipe on later.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Julie, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of your things with us.
It has been a true pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing your project, the Great Love Project. And so I do hope everyone that's listening can go out and get a mug.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah. We'll share some more on our social media with it too. So
cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks. Thank you for joining. You can find the resources and tools mentioned in today's episode at thevault201.com. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and share with a friend.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, and community development.